Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I might be showing a chart of the percentage of American workforce in manufacturing over, around about 80 years. But this is the same for any other country around the world. And the reason why I've specifically chosen an American chart is because, you know what, I've realised it's better not to tell people the truth. Because when you do, they get really upset about it. And, over the last month, we've had about 200 or 300 American people unsubscribe because of the truth I told them about Trump's tariffs. I'm just going to repeat that. Trump's tariffs is a tax on the American people. It is going to push them out of the competitive markets because of the price of their exports to countries like China, to Canada and Mexico. It is going to price them out of the market, which is going to lead to collapses of more businesses in America and bigger unemployment rates, and the affordable living is going to go through the roof. You're not going to be able to afford very much at all. And if you're struggling now, you're going to be struggling a lot more in the coming months when these tariffs take effect. I can understand you being upset, but this is something that is reverberating all the way around the world. It's not just an American problem. We've got this problem here in the UK. Technology, as I've been saying for a decade now, is taking the jobs away. How is a person supposed to participate in this capital system if they cannot get access to money? It's not just a problem for Americans, but they're going to feel it in the coming months. I don't think they're going to be so bullish on Trump in a couple of months' time. They're not going to be, oh, he's a great man and what he's done is perfect, because the American people are the ones that are going to feel the heat of those tariffs. He started a tariff war which will lead to inflation. And the reason why I'm showing you this workforce in manufacturing declining since 1940s is because this chart shows exactly what I'm talking about. You are being pushed out of a job if you're in manufacturing anywhere around the world, but for this matter we're looking at the United States. You can see that the chart nearly peaks in 1940s at around 40%, and it is below now 10%. This is a trend that has been going on for over 80 years and will continue to follow that decline. It seems like it's levelled out since 2010 to the present day, but it will continue to decline. The more we throw technology into the workforce, the more people will lose their jobs. And if you've got one other big problem, which is an increase in population size, that those jobs are going to be very few and far between. But my point is this, is how do you access the monetary system if you've got no access to money? How can you participate in this system? That's what I've been saying. The capital system's been rotting for years. And look how the capital system rewards people like Elon Musk. We're going to get onto him in a minute. But look at him. He's a multi-billionaire, worth over 200, I believe, over the last few weeks. Tesla shares have shredded, a chunk of his wealth off him. We're talking probably 100 billion. I know that 150 billion has been wiped off the share price of Tesla over the last month. That's because of his involvement in politics. People don't like it. They're vandalising Teslas here in the UK. I know they're vandalising them in America. And there's a slur campaign going on in London right now, targeting Musk. And, this company is Kickstart funded, and they're putting up billboards everywhere, just slaughtering him. But, like I said, this isn't just a problem that's related to the United Kingdom or America or Canada or Mexico. I follow very closely one country because it has the largest population in the world, and you've guessed it, it's China, soon to be very quickly overtook by India, and they're going to face the same problems. You see, what happened recently in China on the announcement of the 10% tariffs going on China, there has been an exodus. This year alone, I think, or it might even be, believe it or not, in the last month, the last 30 days, over 500,000 Chinese manufacturers and business people have relocated to Vietnam. They've taken their companies with them. They put all their equipment, the textile companies, manufacturers of electronic components, they put all of their equipment on a ship, sent it over to Vietnam and set up there. There is a massive exodus going on right now in China because there was 10% tariffs before Donald Trump put another 10% on. So it's 20% at the moment, and it is crippling China. And it's not just the manufacturers that are exodusing China. It's their actual employees. They're encouraging the employees of these factories to go with them, and they are as well. And it results in avoiding tariffs. And the labour in Vietnam is 2/3 cheaper than what it was in China. They said, these businessmen, I was watching an interview, they says it's too expensive to manufacture and be competitive in the world market in China because the wages have gone up, which, on average, a Chinese person probably earns about 3,000 to 4,000 yuan, which is just around about $150, $160. So that's a month, believe it or not. So they're saying that is too much to pay people. So they've gone to Vietnam and they can get away with 2/3 of the employment costs, and they avoid tariffs as well. So instead of their garments that they manufacture, say made in China, now they say they're made in Vietnam, and they avoid the tariffs as a result of that. But, just think about what this does to the Chinese GDP. I bet you Xi Jinping is tossing and turning and having many sleepless nights about what's going on. And there's very little he can do about it. Because business is business, and, businessmen are very ruthless. They will look for the weakest in the pecking order, and that is, in this day and age, the ones that work for the least and are happy to do it. And of course, the new kids on the block are the Vietnamese. And we'll see this happen in the Philippines, we'll see it happen in Thailand and other Far East countries like that. So, it's a disaster. So I just wanted to talk about then what's going on a little bit more about Elon Musk. He's made a big mistake. His company is suffering. Tesla. The sales are scarily down at the moment for Tesla. And I was just looking at it. Germany, many parts of Europe, over 50, even up to 60% down on the sales. Tesla must be in full panic mode at the moment, because not only is there slur campaigns about Elon Musk going round, and they're really having a good go at him. The car is being targeted by criminals. They are vandalising Teslas in this country and other countries. I know it's happening in America as well. And his sales are plummeting as a result. The world is in a mess. And what you should do is, if somebody is explaining something to you, try not to get angry, even though what the news is not very good. But you don't just throw your rattle out the cop because of that. We are moving into some really scary times. And you know what? I hope that Tesla does go bankrupt and it takes Elon Musk with it. Because Elon Musk is about to bring in a new era of technology, which is going to take even more jobs off us. If it was me in charge of things, I would be looking for an alternative to the capital system, because it doesn't reward hard working people. Them days are gone. If you're a single person trying to get on in this world now, whoa, it is hard. Your one salary is going to go on bills alone. Your rent or your mortgage or your car insurance, your car tax. Heaven forbid, what happened to me the other day, I ended up driving in a bus lane just for a few seconds. There was no buses in the lane, but you know what? They slapped a £115 fine on me for that. When you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to, minimise your spending, and then all of a sudden, all your efforts are just completely undone because, some government is using stealth tax, using bus lanes and speeding cameras and variable speeding cameras to earn their revenues. You see, Birmingham City Council here in the UK are bankrupt. They declared bankruptcy a year ago. or even longer than that. They are completely bankrupt. So what are they doing? They're earning their revenues or raising their revenues through variable speed cameras, bus lanes you're not allowed to drive in. And what confused me about this bus lane is we've got one not far from me because I live right round about by Birmingham Airport, about 12 minutes drive. And the bus lane there is intermittent. And at the moment, they're not allowing, even though it is a bus lane, you're allowed to drive in it. So, when I was on my way to Heartlands Hospital to see someone, just before Christmas, wallop. I'm in the bus lane, camera takes a photo, sends it to me in the post, and I get a £115 fine. Just like that. I've hurt nobody, but there you go. That's the sort of thing that your governments are going to start doing. Ridiculous stunts like that. It makes me feel like I want to grab a road sign, one of the road signs or a lamppost, and rip it out the ground, because that will cost them thousands of pounds to put back right. It makes me feel like that, and I know some people do that, and I'll tell you, I've seen what the farmers do round here, because I live in the rural area. You know what? They have been clobbered by the government, and I can understand them. They just ride straight over the road sign, squash it with the tractor or the trailer. It's quite hilarious, but you know why they're doing it, and you can't blame them either. I know it's vandalism, but you know what? This government, and all the governments around the world, are just up to the same dirty tricks. They have not governed nothing. They've not governed the energy market, because the energy market is just fleecing people now with the cost of energy going up. Gas and electric is just like a newborn child. It needs feeding day and night. It's ridiculous. And on top of that, the rent goes up, your council tax goes up, £2,000 council tax a year. They've taken off me. I'm in Band B. I know that there's a worse one than that, either C or A, I'm not sure, but Band B is £2,000 a year. There are like 60 odd million people, probably 20 million homes in this country. You imagine 20 million times £2,000, how much revenue they raise just off that. And then they take 20% off your wages, and then whenever you spend your money you have to pay VAT 20%. They are taking over 50% off us now. We are slaves, absolute slaves. If at the end of your working month you've got no money left and you've just managed to pay bills, well, you look at the terminology of a slave. It is just that. A slave will get accommodation. He might get some clothes if he's lucky, but he will be fed. Minimal. It's a good, I could be in a lot worse a situation. I really could. I could be in one of these vulnerable jobs. We've seen it, haven't we? Over the years, if we look at just where we buy our groceries from, there isn't hardly any cashiers in the shops anymore. It's all automated self-service tills. And how many jobs have gone across the range from that? And they think we're stupid in these shops. What I've noticed, I shop in Morrison's, and I don't mind, speaking my truth about what I think about the experience of shopping in Morrison's. I tell you what I'm sick of: buying vegetables that are just on the cusp of going off, bringing them back home and having to throw them 2 days later because they've gone off. So they're buying cheap vegetables that are almost on the fringe of going off. They're putting them in the shop, selling them to everybody. We get it back home and it's gone off. And it's great, isn't it, for the shop owner, because you have to go back and buy it if it's something you really need. So, like some people shop for a month. Some people shop for a week. So, if you're shopping for a week hoping that your food's going to last till, the point of time where you're going to cook it and use it, it might have already gone off by then. This is a horrible world that we're living in. I hope you agree with me. It's, it stinks. It stinks of corruption. And I know, people are saying, well, Donald Trump's going to do something about it. Yeah, we've certainly done something about it. He's just hyperinflated the dollar on his own citizens. It doesn't matter to him because he's a billionaire. It doesn't matter to him or Elon Musk because they're billionaires. But us working people, have got to put up with hyperinflation now. What does that mean? Are we going to start seeing, instead of half a dozen eggs in a box, we're going to start seeing 3 eggs in a box? We already know that when you buy your washing powder, you open it up, there's 3/4 of the box. Well, there's 1/4 of the box missing. So why have they give you such a great big box for only 3/4 full of washing powder or detergent. Doesn't, and it's the same with a bag of crisps. You open the bag of crisps and about 5 or 6 crisps fall out. Austerity measures going beyond the future. It's ridiculous, guys, and I'm sure that you agree with me on a lot of the points I've made in this video. But you know what? Jobs are not being increased. Okay, so Donald Trump is saying, if you manufacture in America, you won't have to pay the tariffs. But, if companies, and I know one company has moved from China, I believe, Honda, and they're going to be setting up in the United States to avoid the tariffs there. But, that is jobs that were, needed in China. And I know Americans don't give a shit when it comes to that. But you know what? If it was the other way around, and it has happened here in the West, hasn't it? We saw the manufacturers ourselves going over to China. I think even Tesla is got a manufacturing plant in China. So is he going to pay tariffs on the imported cars that he imports from there to America? I wonder. Is the little favours being done for him for his service to, the White House? Oh, I'd just love to know. But the bottom line is that, as technology increases, I've been saying this for a decade now, people are starting to wake up to it, and people are starting to worry about these tariffs. Because, like Canada, they put 25% tariffs on about £150 billion worth of produce. So America is going to put the tariff up again on them, and Canada will follow suit. What will happen to American people whilst this trade war goes on? They're going to be poorer and poorer. My advice to you guys is, before these tariffs are taking effect, stock up on some of the foods, some of the things that you might need to buy bulk now, because later on you ain't going to benefit from those cheaper prices. So, what you need, what those expensive items that you need, you might want to stock up on them. That's what I would do. Obviously, there's got to come a halt to all this nonsense, because, you can keep going on and on and on. All's going to happen, you're going to bankrupt everyone in your country. So these tariffs have got to end at some point. So maybe, some of those things that you might want to stock up on, you might want to stock up on them for about 12 months. And it's always a good thing to do. You buy now, in ordinary terms, it would have gone up in 12 months' time. So you'll be saving money if you bulk buy now the things that you use regularly. The only other thing I can say is, it's not just manufacturing jobs that are on the drop. It will be across the range. So maybe if you've got a mortgage and you've got a family, and that means everything to you, you might want to consider retraining in a more secure environment. That's exactly what I did. I done a class 1 course, and I'll be, when I finish that class 1 course, driving HGV trucks. You know what? It's good money. You can't knock it. And it suits me, because there'll be no one breathing down my neck. I'll get given a job or a couple of runs to do, and I'll do that. But the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go a little bit further than just getting the class 1 licence. I'll be doing hazardous goods, so driving tankers and things like that, fuel tankers and stuff. You get paid a little bit more of a premium to do that. But guys, I didn't ever dream of becoming, a truck driver. But it's what you have to do, to stay, in the game. It's better paid than a lot of other jobs. So, for me, I thought it seems a stable industry. They're always going to need people to transport goods. So, I'll do that. But if you're in services-based work, well, information technology and things like that, AI is on your back door, don't you, breathing down your neck. So you might want to think about that. And, just do some basic evaluation of different things. If you've got a bit of savings, then it's well worth getting some storage of these things that are going to get expensive, and they will. And then, part B, plan B, look at your employment with your your boss or your company that you work for at the moment, and consider other markets which may be more stable. And I think I've covered a few things that I wanted to talk about. It's just trying to get it over to people. You know, sometimes when you mention it once, they don't get it. Sometimes the second time they don't get it, but the third time, usually, if you do try different methods of explaining what you're talking about, then eventually they get it. You know, what I was trying to do is not insult Americans, is help them more. And not just Americans, but anyone that watches this video, because if you're in Europe, you know what I'm talking about. If you're in the UK, you know what I'm talking about. It's getting beyond the point of, you know, taking the pee, to say the least. It really is. And that's why, you know, there's a lot of people just leaving this country now. They've had enough, and rightfully so. You know, the government don't care about us. You know, they care about themselves. You know, as manufacturing has shrank, government has got bigger and bigger throughout the world. And they're not worth the job, half of them. Because they come up with airbrain ideas like putting variable cameras up, you know, they should be switching these cameras off at this point in time where people are struggling, you know, to manage the bills and the cost of living crisis. They shouldn't be having these on, but they're ruthless. You know, that bill that comes in for that speeding fine, just going over it a couple of miles an hour extra, you get a £115 fine. Well, you know, kiss goodbye to the pictures this month, or whatever it is that people do with that little bit of extra cash. You know, I could have spent that on a lot of better things. You know, but there you go. Guys, I'm pretty sure you know where I'm coming from, but, you know, there you are. Link down there if you want to help support what we do on this channel. And, you know, I'll say what I usually do. You take care of your loved ones. You know, I hope you weather the storm that's coming. And I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.